The Elder Scrolls Online Update 49 has officially hit the PTS as of a couple days ago. While a lot of the changes are being rolled out in later weeks of the PTS, there are still some things to talk about today. The most notable change is the Dragonknight class rework. Historically, Dragonknights haven't been the best healers, but has that changed with Update 49? Well, my name's Doc, your host for all things healing, and now that I've had some time to do a little testing, I think it's time we talk about it. Now, before someone goes down to the comments and starts talking about the very few instances where a team got a trifecta or a leaderboard spot with a DK healer, I want it to be known that I'm speaking very generally. Yes, Dragonknight healers can absolutely be effective healers for experienced players, especially in the age of subclassing, but for your average individual, DK healers are just not very good when compared with other classes. With that out of the way, let's answer the question in the thumbnail. Are Dragonknights good healers now? The short answer is, they're much better healers, but still not great. Let's first go over what actually changed for Dragonknight healers. There were a lot of changes, so it is possible that I missed something, but I'm fairly certain I'll be covering everything that would be relevant to healers. To start, we've got the Dragonknight standard and the Ardent Flame skill line. The base skill now grants you and up to 11 allies standing within range, weapon, and spell damage, as well as damage reduction. Then the Standard of Might morph increases those numbers for yourself, which can still be useful for healers since extra weapon and spell damage means stronger heals. I personally really like this change. The weapon and spell damage gained is pretty substantial and can be applied to an entire trial team. Plus, my understanding is that this weapon and spell damage increase is unique, so it can stack with things like Major Courage and Powerful Assault, which can be a pretty nice bump for a group's DPS output. Up next, we've got what was originally Ash Cloud from the Earthen Heart skill line has been renamed to Hearthfire and moved to the Ardent Flame skill line. The base skill no longer slows enemies, but instead grants minor fortitude and heroism to allies standing within the circle, which is now 8 meters instead of 5. The Firekeeper morph, originally Cinder Storm, now only applies the extra healing if you're also standing in the AoE, but also makes it so that allies maintain the heroism and fortitude for 15 seconds after leaving the AoE. The Hearth and Home morph, originally Eruption, now also still heals, but now scales off of max health. It also reduces enemy movement speed and grants major protection. Having minor heroism on a skill is, I'll be honest, exactly what I wanted to see. I'm very happy about this. Granted, I wasn't expecting to see it on Dragonknight, but still, hey, I can't complain, right? I'm pretty happy about it. I can't say if this will eliminate the need for healers to bring heroism pots. I'm leaning towards no, but I can say that having an additional source of minor heroism is still a nice change regardless. I think this skill was already a little overlooked before the rework, but now it's going to be a must-have for DK supports for sure. Up next in the Draconic Power skill line, we've got Dragon Blood. The base skill heal now scales off of max health and increases based on your missing health. Blood of the Elder Dragon, originally Coagulating Blood, now still scales off of offensive stats and heals allies within 10 meters for 2/3 of the amount that it heals you. It also grants minor courage and major fortitude to anyone healed by the ability. I think a lot of the strength of this will depend on the target cap, as it could be a pretty decent way to provide minor courage to the group if you can in fact target 12 people. Even if it can only target 6, I could see this being a pretty great way for a tank to provide minor courage in dungeon or arena groups if your healer doesn't bring Zenas. Up next, we've got Wing Buffet, originally Protective Scale. The base skill isn't really relevant for healers, but I did want to bring up the Protect the Brood morph, originally Dragonfire scale. It doesn't knock back or deal damage, and instead grants group members projectile resistance and minor protection on top of still giving you major expedition. I don't think this is necessarily a good PvE healer skill, but I do see this being pretty good for PvP supports. The buffs that it provides are all still very solid for helping your team both initiate a fight as well as retreat from a fight. I'm not sure how many PvP healers are currently using Draconic Power, I don't think that this will move the needle much on that, but this might be worth looking into if you've been searching for a movement ability and for whatever reason don't have access to the Psijic Order skill line. Finally, for healers, we've got Superheated Ward, originally Stone Fist, found in the Earthen Heart skill line. It's now a magicka ability that grants you or an ally a pretty sizable shield. The Volcanic Ward morph, originally Obsidian Shard, now adds a healing effect when the shield ends and reduces the damage done by the next attack that hits you. The other morph continues to be a damage dealer morph, so nothing we're really too concerned about there. I don't have any real, firm opinions on this one. I think it's much more of a tank skill than a healer one still, but we'll look more into how well the heal scales and how good it does in certain content situations and stuff like that. This could be another one of those good for PvP healer skills. So, after all that, what do I think? Well, there are definitely some really good changes in there for Dragonknight healers. I for sure see Ardent Flame becoming kind of a de facto DK healer skill line now. So does that mean DK healers are about to be meta? I don't think so. DK healers will be much better than they used to be, but from a healing perspective, the fundamental issues with healing as a Dragonknight are still present despite the reworks. I talked about it a bit in a recent video, but the biggest issue for DK healers is just that a DK tank is going to bring everything that a DK healer would, and will often use it more effectively than a DK healer would. And I honestly don't think that this rework is going to change that. As much as the skills like the Standard and Hearthfire are better for healers now, I also think they're better for tanks too. And if we start to see more tanks utilize some of these awesome changes, then there will continue to be no real reason for healers to take these skill lines over other options like Green Balance, Siphoning, and Restoring Light. And speaking of those, we've also still got other class refreshes coming up as well, so I imagine as DK gets better for healers, so too will every other class eventually. I also don't want it to be misconstrued. I'm not upset about any of that. Even though I don't personally believe Dragonknights will find a place in the healer meta, that's okay. I'm okay with that, really. Playing a DK healer will still be much more viable than it used to, in my opinion, especially if your tank wants to play something off meta. Even beyond that, a lot of the changes are still amazing, and I'm still very happy for my DK tanks and damage dealers who are going to get to enjoy a lot of these new changes. I know Zoss said they wanted every class to be equally viable in every role, but I don't necessarily believe that can ever truly happen, and that's okay. In PvE, Dragonknights are mainly tanks, and I'm totally fine with that. Part of this refresh is also about class identity, and I don't think being a healer is part of the Dragonknight class identity. And you know what else? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe after I do more testing, I discover something that I missed. Maybe after it's all said and done, the community will decide that tanks and DPS aren't taking Ardent Flame after all, and it'll fall on the healers to do so. If that's the case, you know what? You can come back to this video and say I told you so. But I think that'll do it for today. I did want to talk more about the Update 49 PTS, but there are just so many things that are being released in the later weeks of the PTS that I might just end up making another video closer to the end of the cycle, or honestly just waiting for Update 49 to hit live servers. Until then though, I've got some other videos on the schedule for you guys. As always though, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it useful. Let me know what you think of the Dragonknight changes down in the comments. Don't forget to check out the link in the description so you can follow me on stuff and join my Discord server. Before we head out, I also want to give a quick shout out to all of my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Thank you guys for your continued support, and I appreciate y'all. I think all I've got left to say is that I've been Doc. Take care of yourselves, be good to others, don't forget to check out Update 49 on the PTS, and I will catch y'all in the next one.